Hello, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to Queen Ahmadiyyah TV presents Beyond the Realm. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time that I go live. Also, please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up, okay? All right, so let's get ready to get into it, people. Thank you all for tuning in. M is blessed that I have my popcorn. Let's get into it. Okay? Let's get into it. All right. So, we're going to be talking about Ouija boards again tonight. Now, we talked about this before. And so now I have some true stories that people say, different things that happened to them pertaining to Ouija boards. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about. Now, I don't know how scary these are because clearly I didn't read them first because I wanted my reaction to be the same as yours. Okay, now the first one says, it's called That's the Spirit. Students discuss paranormal activity. They've been playing with these Ouija boards, okay? So let's get into it. They say paranormal activity is stirring up in State College. Whether it's the Paranormal Research Society contacting spirits in Schwab Auditorium with high-tech equipment, or a group of roommates messing around with a Ouija board, students have different methods of contacting the spiritual world. Paranormal Research Society, a club at Penn State, investigates sites that have been reported as haunted, using equipment to gain evidence on possible spirits that are present. Now, Rachel Moser, president of PRS, said if you've seen any of the Ghost Hunters, Paranormal State kind of shows, we have some of the same equipment that they use. Now, the equipment the club uses consists of audio recorders, cameras with night vision, temperature guns, and an electromagnetic field detector. She says, as a club, we never use Ouija boards, PRS member Jennifer Orth said. Ouija board is a board game one plays to come into contact with spirits, where players put their fingers on a planchette, a game piece, ask the spirit a question, and let it guide them to the answer. Now, going into an investigation with the equipment that we use would just mean possibly communicating with entities that are already there. The whole thing with Ouija boards is that they're believed to actually open a portal, and you don't know if you're going to be talking to actually a spirit or if it could be something much more malicious. A group of independent Penn State students going against the beliefs of PRS recently had a set of chilling experiences occur with a Ouija board they played with on campus. Now, roommates Cody Belly, a senior in biology, and Eric Burke, a senior energy business and finance, and Ryan Bradshaw, junior journalism student, spoke out about their encounter and what followed. The roommates said they were first interested in using the Ouija board because they heard myths and wanted to find out for themselves if it was real. There are many rules, they say, absolutely, that have to be followed. But the most important one is to always say goodbye. That's absolutely right. You're supposed to say goodbye to the spirit on the board. Otherwise, they say the spirit can come off. Now, Belly, Bradshaw, and Burke used the board in their home on West College Avenue, the library, and the Hub Robeson Center. Now, while at the Hub, they said they contacted a spirit by the name of Zach. They say his name was Zach. He was 38 years old and was once a student at Penn State. He told us that he liked to play football in his free time and that he died in 2009, Belly said. Now, Zach is now reunited with his mother, who he referred to as Mammon, which they said means with mother, according to Bradshaw. He says, we felt like we connected with the spirit. He was good. We thought we could help him in some sort of way. But the next time they played, they realized they weren't talking to their friend Zach anymore. It was now Mammon. Now, while talking to Mammon, Burke said most of what occurred was mainly false flattery and lies. Says, if you type in Google how to recognize an evil spirit through the Ouija board, you will get everything that happened to us, he says. The planchette moving in a figure 8 motion to 666 and through every letter and number in an attempt to escape the board. Now, the group claimed that the board repeatedly spelled out words such as repent and sin, and most popular, demon and the name Zozo. Now, Bradshaw said that Zozo said it was following him in particular. He says, I asked what it wanted, and it spelled out soul. No joke. Now, after this occurrence, they still were skeptical of how this so-called Hasbro game sold at the local Walmart and the Toys R Us for ages 8 and up could indeed be real. So they decided to construct their own board using cardboard, glass, and a shot glass as the planchette. Now, on top of that, we even blindfolded ourselves to make sure that we weren't moving the planchette subconsciously, Bradshaw says. Now, Bradshaw said they had a friend watch the board to see what it spelled. To their surprise, the results were exactly the same. After returning the board, Zach wasn't there just to chat. It was more of a warning. He hardly spelled out anything but the letters S-T-O-P. He was telling them to stop, okay? Because obviously Zach was a good spirit. He was telling them to stop. They should have listened. Now, he told Belly and Burke he was following them, not to harm them, but to help them escape from Mammon. Zach warned that if they didn't stop playing with the board, they wouldn't be safe. Even without using a Ouija board, Moser said she had always believed in paranormal activity. Orth, a junior supply chain, said she still to this day is skeptical. Now, he says, I actually don't 100% believe in ghosts. This is what Orth said. That's what's really cool about the club. You don't have to. It's a way to find out for yourself. Both Moser and Orth described their trip last year to the Hoffman Mansion in Gettysburg as their most memorable encounter with the paranormal world. Moser said that the thermal camera was used, and they saw an outline of what seemed to be a soldier down in the kitchen of the mansion. They say, when we looked down at the camera, we saw that there was a figure standing in the corner of the room. It was there for a really long time, and it was moving all around, Orth says. The members also discussed the location on Penn State's campus that seems to be the most haunted, and they said that was the Schwab Auditorium. They say it's one of the most active places that we've been to. There's a few spirits there that are actually there. And whenever we go, we have some sort of experience, Moser said. Now, after the evening and the first use of the Ouija board, Bradshaw, Burke, and Belly did admit that weird things started happening to them, such as noises, sights, and weird feelings. They say, one night I woke up, sat up in the bed, and saw a dark figure in the corner of my room. And I found myself smiling at it. I don't know why, Bradshaw says. Bradshaw described their experience with the Ouija board as somewhat of an addiction. Burke said, when something bad happens, we tell ourselves we won't ever play again. But then tomorrow comes. I wonder if you have a choice to walk into the light or roam the earth when you pass. I believe you have a choice. That's just my belief. Now, did you all hear that? So they said they felt addicted to it. Let me tell you something. I believe it. I absolutely believe it. Okay? I used to be a night security guard at a college in Missouri. They had bodies buried on the campus that were supposed to be the founders of whatever. Yeah, it was creepy. Whew, sounds creepy. Otis said white people. Hey, Otis. So you know what? Let me tell you something. That sounds spooky to me. Now, what was even crazy is when he said that he sat up one night and saw a dark figure sitting on the bed, a shadowy figure, and he found himself smiling at it. I'm sorry. Say what now? And when they said that they would tell themselves they're going to stop playing it every time something bad happens, but they continue to play. That's absolutely what people do. So they can't just say no, huh, yeah, okay. Okay, so let's go on to the next Ouija board story. Now, this is a compilation of short Ouija board stories where they say crimes were committed by people who actually played them. And they claim the Ouija board made them commit these crimes. Now, because these are short stories telling you about 10 chilling crimes caused by Ouija boards, supposedly, I looked up a couple of the stories, and I'm going to tell you about those afterwards. Now, Ouija boards tend to peak in popularity during the times of uncertainty. But before you take yours out of the attic and start asking questions, you might want to read this. So they tell you about the dark history of the Ouija board and how it all came to be. So let's read this because I'm curious. Chances are you came across your fair share of Ouija boards as a kid, but it's probably been a while since you used one or even thought about one. So here's a refresher. A Ouija board consists of a board printed with letters and numbers and a small heart-shaped plank or a planchette that slides smoothly across the board, seemingly on its own volition, to relay messages from the spirit world. That being said, the planchette moves only with participant interaction, i.e., when participants lay their fingertips on it, and its current manufacturer, Hasbro, markets the board solely as a game. Now, when the Ouija board was first marketed in 1890, however, it was billed as a method by which the living could communicate with the dead. So that's what they said back then. So yeah, that's the truth. Now, this was an attempt to capitalize on the Victorian, hey Queen, you are the truth, make me feel so good and enlightened, and where did you get that helmet's crew? I die every time you say it. Thank you, King Jason. And thank you for your kind words and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. And I get that because, I call them the Mayo Clinic, right? Which, because they love mayonnaise. And Hellman's, that's their favorite brand of mayonnaise. Hellman's, okay? That's their favorite. And so now it was marketed solely as a game from Hasbro. But they say that when it first came out, they admitted that it was used to communicate with the dead. Now, this was an attempt to capitalize on the Victorian obsession with spiritualism, the belief that it's possible to communicate with spirits. Now, the Ouija board has always had its believers. In 1916, for example, a woman by the name of Pearl Kiran became an overnight celebrity by writing poems and stories she claimed were dictated via her Ouija board by the spirit of a 17th century woman. And here are 12 spooky real-life Ouija board stories that we've gotten put together. Now, the Ouija board was also always had its doubters. Okay, a few years after Kiran enjoyed her wild success, her friend Emily Hutchinson had a book published that she claimed had been dictated by Mark Twain, who had been dead for 10 years, via the Ouija board. Now, however, Twain's estate was having no part of it and sued the publisher, which responded by ceasing publication and destroying all the copies. Now, although scientific studies have debunked the Ouija board's ability to move without at least subconscious intervention, Ouija board historian Robert Murch takes the position that whether it's science or spirits, Ouija boards in fact work. Now, what Murch means is that for the past 130 years, they say we've been asking Ouija boards questions and they have been answering. The only issue is whether those answers come from the spirit world or from our subconscious or the deliberate manipulation. For the unsophisticated, what the Ouija board says can come like immutable truth. The same is true of those with mental illness or cognitive deficits. That's precisely why the Ouija board was played or has played a role in some chilling crimes over the years. So let's talk about some of these crimes. Thank you, Misfits beloved. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Now, here's the first crime we're going to talk about, caused by a Ouija board, no less. The woman who wanted to eliminate her competition. That's the title. On March the 6th of 1930, Clothilde Marchand was found dead. Desmond says, hey, Queen, I got my card today. Manifestation too real. Is real. Yes, beloved. Well, congratulations to you. Manifestation is real. Keep doing your thing and bringing that fire. Thank you, beloved. Thank you for your kind words and your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. And congratulations again on the card. So now they say this woman by the name of Clothilde Marchand was found dead at the foot of the stairs in her Buffalo, New York home, where she lived with her sculptor husband and a young son. It quickly became apparent that she hadn't fallen, but had been beaten to death. Suspicion initially fell upon the husband, but it quickly shifted to a woman whom he'd been having an affair with, Lila Jimerson. As it turned out, Jimerson had recruited an acquaintance by the name of Nancy Bowen to murder Clothilde. Her method of persuasion, a Ouija board, which Jimerson manipulated to convince Bowen that Clothilde was a witch. Was she responsible for the death, or who was responsible for the death of Bowen's recently deceased husband? And she said that Bowen was next. So Bowen couldn't even read. Now, she simply took Jimerson's word for it, according to Murch. She pleaded guilty to manslaughter once the ruse was revealed. Jimerson also ultimately accepted a plea to manslaughter. Well, clearly that wasn't anything to do with the Ouija board, except that the woman lied about it. Now, the next one is called the mother who used the Ouija board to kill off her husband. On November the 18th of 1933, 15-year-old Maddie Turley and her father Ernest were trying to shoot a skunk on their property when Maddie shot Ernest twice in the back. Initially, Maddie claimed she had accidentally fired after she tripped and fallen. However, after her father died of his wounds, Maddie changed her story. While playing with the Ouija board with her mother, Dorothea, Maddie was ordered by the spirit world to kill Ernest so that Dorothea could marry a man who would make her happier. Now, after the Ouija board had spoken, Dorothea assured Maddie that she could not be arrested for complying with the Ouija board's orders. How dumb is that? Dorothea denied it all, but a jury found her guilty. 3 years later, the Supreme Court of Arizona reversed the conviction on the grounds that the trial court had refused to allow evidence that Maddie, who spent her childhood in juvenile detention and never spoke to her mother again, was lying. The Ouija board with a very specific plan. Now, in 1983, 16-year-old Bunny Dixon told her 25-year-old boyfriend, Anthony Hall, and another young couple that the four of them had been instructed by a Ouija board to leave their home in Florida and join a carnival in Virginia. I'm sorry, leave your home and join a carnival? Misfit said, full of male-splaining. Said they were told to join a carnival in Virginia. This is what the Ouija board supposedly told them. And to get the money to fund the trip by robbing and murdering a motorist, which they did, mind you. Now, after accosting and murdering 25-year-old Najak Van Dang, the two couples turned against each other, which led to their arrest. All four were tried and convicted of murder. That's crazy. And then there's the boy who believed he was making a sacrifice to Satan. Don't play with witch boards. They are real. Yes, Hebrew sister, thank you for your information, beloved, and for your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Yes, they absolutely are real. Now, let me tell you something. I saw something on the internet that was basically saying, are they real or not? And whoever wrote the article was clearly lying. They said, oh, no, they're not. They're not real. It's just a game, people. And, you know, if it does anything, it's all of your subconscious. And saying you can play them at home. Clearly, they're trying to set somebody up. Okay? They can miss me with that. Now, this is the boy who believed he was making a sacrifice to Satan. In 1995, London teen Michael McCallum lured a younger boy by the name of Michael Ehrich to his apartment to play with a Ouija board. Now, when the board spelled out kill, K-I-L-L, Ehrich tried to flee, but McCallum stabbed him to death, allegedly because he believed Satan had ordered him to do so. McCallum ended up accepting a manslaughter plea and served his time in a mental hospital. Now, the next one is the grandma who believed the Ouija board had a plan. In 2001, 53-year-old Carol Sue Elvaker was playing with the Ouija board with her daughter, Tammy, and Tammy's two daughters when the message came through that Tammy's husband, Brian, was evil and needed to be killed. See, this is why people don't need to be playing these things. You hear this? All these messages coming through telling people to kill and stuff like that? Please. Said that he needed to be killed. Now, Elvaker got up and stabbed Brian in his sleep and turned the knife on one of her granddaughters. As Brian bled to death, Elvaker, Tammy, and the two granddaughters piled into the car, which Elvaker proceeded to turn and run off the road. Now, the ensuing car crashed caused only by minor injuries. The ensuing car crashed caused only minor injuries. But Elvaker then attempted to push one of the granddaughters into traffic because she believed the girl had inherited Brian's evil. Elvaker was ultimately ruled insane and was committed to a psychiatric hospital. Now, I think she had demons. I don't think she was insane. I think she had demons. Now, the boys who asked the Ouija board leading questions. That's the next one. Two teenage boys, Joshua Tucker and Donald Schlalin, were playing with a Ouija board in 2007 and asked it if they should become serial killers. First of all, who asked it that? When the board replied yes, they asked who should they kill first. The board replied, Mom, M-O-M. And that's precisely what they did, killing Schlacklin's mother and also his 13-year-old sister, Elizabeth. Although the boys tried to flee, they were arrested and later convicted of murder. The demons leading the demons, shaking my head. Otis said, I can't donate to support. It's blocking me. I don't know why it's doing that, Otis. You know they are such haters. You know how they do. You can send it to my Cash App if you would like, beloved. $QueenAShakur if you would like. Thank you for your trying. You know how YouTube does. They be hating on me, honey. That's why they demonetize my other channels. It's a hot mess. Now, here's the next one. The grandma. Oh, no, I read that one already. Hold on. Let me find my place. The boy who said the Ouija board made me do it. Love you and everything you do, Queen. Thank you, Queen Shishi. Thank you for your kind words and your contribution, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Now, the boy who said the Ouija board made me do it. In 2012, a teenage boy from Westlaco, Texas, stabbed his longtime friend in the abdomen. The friend survived, albeit after a few harrowing days in intensive care. When asked why he did it, the teen said, the Ouija board made me. At the time, Velasco police spokesman J.P. Rodriguez said he actually believed that the Ouija board had advised him. The teen, whose name was not released, pled insanity. Everybody's crazy, I guess. Okay, so I'm not going to read all the rest of these. I'm going to go to the story that I have about one of the actual events. We're going to talk about the The boy who thought he was making a sacrifice to Satan. Devil worshiper sacrificed a 15-year-old 15-year-old at an altar. Ouija board said kill. So this is the full story about it. A teenage devil worshiper sacrificed a boy of 15 in front of a black magic altar in his bedroom. First of all, who keeps a black magic altar in their bedroom? But anyway, David McCallum, age 19, plunged a foot-long combat knife 11 times into his neighbor Michael Irridge's chest and neck after his Ouija board spelled out the words K-I-L-L. Now, at the Old Bailey, he grinned as he was sent to Broadmoor Hospital without limit of time. McCallum and a friend went to Michael and his pal Stephen Curran, also 15 years old, in the street in December that year. They asked the boys back to McCallum's house to watch a video, so luring them there. The boys were horrified to find his bedroom was a shrine to Satan. The walls were covered in posters of the devil, torture, and human sacrifice. What kind of parents did he have if he had him living there with him? Heavy metal records with Satan lyrics were all over the floor. The words devil, man, kill, or killer, and 666 were scrawled on the TV along with a pentacle and an occult symbol. Books and magazines on McCallum's idol, crazed mass murderer Charles Manson, and it sat in the corner. And against one of the walls, there was an impoverished altar covered in a black cloth with 2 candles on it. As Michael's mom sobbed in the court gallery, David Walters, prosecuting said, McCallum began using a Ouija board. He asked, if you are Satan, what is it that you want me to do, is what he said. Now, McCallum's friend, who can't be named for legal reasons, put Michael's hand on the glass McCallum was using to operate the board. He told the terrified boy that he'd chop off his fingers unless he did as he was told. Michael said he was scared and wanted to go home, but McCallum's apprentice told him, you're not going anywhere until I have done my master's will. The boy was hit in the head, and McCallum pulled the knife from under his, it says hi-fi. I think maybe they meant Wi-Fi. I don't know. He forced Michael onto his bed, put his hand around his throat, sat astride him, and started stabbing him. He only stopped when the apprentice whispered, stop now, David. You can calm. He's dead now. Whew. Queen, I love all your channels, and apprentice, all you do for us. Oh, appreciate all you do for us. Your passion and dedication does not go unnoticed. You're my spirit mom in my head. Thank you, beloved, for your kind words. And thank you for your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. Excuse me if I'm taking a minute to read people the small print. I surely need my glasses on, but I didn't bring them, okay? Now, this is also crazy. So the apprentice tells him, stop now, David. You can calm. He's dead now. Michael's body was wrapped in bedding and dumped between the 7th and 8th floors of the flats where McCallum lived in Walworth, South London. Stephen was made to put his fingerprints on the knife, then freed and warned not to tell anyone. He ran straight to Michael's father. When McCallum was arrested that night, he grinned and said, guilty. Now, police asked why he kept smiling, and he says, I'm still buzzing from earlier. Sick people. McCallum, now 20, said he and his friend drank 2 bottles of Thunderbird wine before the murder. He told police all of a sudden he started attacking him. He said, a voice in my head said, kill him. The Ouija board told him to buy the knife, and he says the demon madness told him to kill him. He says the glass spelled out the words kill, or the word kill. McCallum said he sacrificed 2 frogs to demon madness the year before. He says a psychiatrist told old Bailey McCallum who had been treated for mental illness, was schizophrenic. Judge Gerald Gordon QC sent him to Bradmore, saying that there was a major risk that he would offend again. McCallum admitted manslaughter due to diminished responsibility. He denied murder, and the charge was left unfiled. Now, after the trial, a senior detective said McCallum has smiled at every single court appearance. He revels in what he has done. Clearly a demon. Clearly. Smiled every time. Hi, Queenie. Do you believe in Bigfoot? Do you have any good stories about them? You know what? Thank you, Steve, for your question. And also thanks for your contribution. Peace, love, and blessings to you. You know what? I don't know if I believe in Bigfoot, but I have certainly heard a lot of stories about Bigfoot. And yes, I will. And it's funny that you said that, because I was thinking about that like a few days ago, that if I should talk about Bigfoot, because, you know, on this channel, I not only talk about paranormal things, I also talk about unsolved mysteries, right? Like, you know, Bigfoot is one that I would be interested in talking about. The first story I ever did on here, in fact, was about the people that went missing at the national parks. So yes, I will talk about Bigfoot. Otis says, I know a man in Mississippi named Bigfoot Robert. No, Otis, not your friend Robert, but really a Bigfoot, a Sasquatch, as the natives call them. And I know you're just trying to be funny. So that's all crazy. So what do y'all think about this? Y'all give me some input. What do y'all think about this nefariousness? Do y'all think these people were really crazy? Some of them? Do you think they just wanted to kill? Or do you think that they really believed that the Ouija board was telling them to do these things? The woman of the woods. The woman of the woods. Okay. So anybody think that these people were just using the Ouija board for an excuse? Both. Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. Because that last kid who had all the satanic stuff in his room, I think he really did hear demons talking in his head. And I think that it was likely because of all the mess that he was into. All that type of stuff draws that type of energy, right? Exactly, infamous Kim. Exactly. So this is all so crazy. Well, I hope you all enjoyed those nefarious stories, honey, because they were clearly crazy. Okay? So next time, which will be tomorrow night, I'm going live on here tomorrow, just so you all know, because you know it's the weekend. So I'm going to do unsolved mysteries, right? Let me write this down. I have a request for Bigfoot, so I'll be talking about that. And then I'll find some other things, right? I think they open themselves up to that spirit. Yes, October Opal, absolutely. They open up portals playing with these things. Okay? J Love the Queen said, take your time, Queen. Thank you, beloved. I think evilness recognize evilness. Evilness. Okay, yes, absolutely. So with that all being said, I want to thank you all for tuning in once again to Queen Ahmadiyyah TV Presents Beyond the Realm. I hope you all enjoyed the show. Thanks everyone who contributed to the channel and for your Cash Apps and PayPal contributions. Also, if you missed the spiritual video that I did earlier on Queen Ahmadiyyah TV Presents More Than Meets the Third Eye, please go back and watch that. I talked about the metaphysical mind, right? And it was very interesting. And also, you should watch any of those videos that you have missed. All right. You can binge watch them at your leisure. But I want you all to watch those because we're engaged in spiritual warfare with all the mess that's going on in this world globally, and especially for us in this country. Okay. Good night, Brown John, beloved. So I wish you all a good night, and I hope you all enjoy the rest of your weekend. Also, to the moderators, we're going to have a meeting on Sunday at 11 a.m. I'll send out the links tomorrow. It's going to be brief. And anybody who wants to leave after the first 15 or 20 minutes, feel free to do so. Because, you know, some of us hang around and still keep chatting away. But so the meeting's going to last like 20 minutes. We'll cover everything that's pertaining to the meeting in the first 20 minutes, okay? And if anybody wants to still hang around and chat after that, that's fine too. So I love you all. Enjoy the rest of your nights and the rest of your weekend. And until next time, Royal Family, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.